Torres.
Please rise and uncover.
Good afternoon. Thank you. Please bow your heads. Let us pray. Heavenly Father, we come before you today with grateful hearts, gathered here at American Legion Post 138, a place of honor, service, and duty. We thank you for this opportunity to meet in peace, to listen, to learn, and to lead. And we ask you now for your peace amongst us. Grant wisdom to all those in attendance, and especially to our leaders, Senator Ashley Moody, Secretary Colins, and every servant of the people who holds the trust of the public office. May they be guided with integrity, strengthened by compassion, and led by the desire to serve in accordance with your will. Lord, we lift up the most vulnerable amongst our veterans, shield them with your protection, and inspire us with acts of urgency to be their voice, their strength, and their unwavering support. Let this meeting be filled with purpose, grounded in respect, and pointed toward progress that reflects the values of liberty, justice, and honor. We ask this in your holy name. Amen. Amen. Recover.
Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. My Sergeant at Arms will lead the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, please be seated. Before we start here, I'd just like to remind everybody that this is the focus of this is strictly about veterans benefits, veterans issues. We can't have anybody talking about fashion statements to the senator, the golf swing of the secretary, or anything that's not related. So keep it civil, and we'll get along just fine. And now I said that, we're going to go ahead and introduce the senator. She's a local girl from Plant City, and we're really proud of her. She used to, as you know, she was the Attorney General and was asked to step into poor Mr. Rubio's shoes when he was forced to go up north to Washington. I did some time up there. I feel for him. So if you'd like to take the mic, come on in.
Thank you so much. Well, thank you. It's so great to see everybody, and appreciate you taking the time to be here today. Go Gators. Did somebody say go Gators? Go Gators and go USA. That's all we need to say, right? And now I'm done. My work here is through. We'll catch you next time. You know, we put things pretty simply around here, right? That was the best introduction I've ever had. Here's Senator Ashley Moody, local girl from Plant City. Here you go. That pretty much encapsulates everything. Thank you very much. It really is an honor to be here today to have this town hall with you. And I'm seeing so many friends, not only from my time as a judge here for over a decade, my time as a lawyer here in our community, a federal prosecutor. Thank you so much for joining us today. I have the incredible honor of hosting this town hall and introducing to you our new Secretary of the VA. And I know we have a lot of questions, not only for me, but for him as we're entering into this new administration. And so I think this might be his first appearance as the secretary in the Tampa Bay area. And I am glad to host him and introduce him to you. And Secretary, let me introduce you, and then I'll just say a few remarks and we can go from there and take a few questions. For those of you that do not know Doug Colins, I think you should know he started out as a chaplain in the Air Force. He actually served a tour of duty in Iraq. He said he spent many, many sleepless nights at the hospital there. But that is where his servant's heart comes from. So it should not surprise you that while serving in the Air Force, he went back and got his law degree. He's been a civil servant, and now he served in Congress for a time. did his duty there. And now, of course, stemming from that servant's heart and a wonderful career, President Trump has sought to put him in charge of this incredibly important agency, one that I think needs a lot of attention to detail, a lot of right sizing to get back to true purpose, and that is serving the veteran. And he has made that his mission, and I know that you're going to see a lot of a turnaround and attention to detail, and every question that's asked, every decision that's made is going to be made through the lens of, does this better serve our veterans and their families? And as businesses have to do time and time again, rewind, reset, get back to core mission to make sure that they're being efficient and successful in what they were designed to do and service a product. We have to do that in government. Sometimes I think our leaders lose sight of that in the past, but we are a government that serves the people. And if for some reason our government agencies are getting off course, we have to right size, readdress spending, readdress personnel, readdress how we're making decisions. Who's making those decisions? Are we top heavy, or are we putting our resources to serve, in this instance, veterans or Americans, the people? So I am extraordinarily excited to have accepted the huge responsibility of being your newest United States Senator. But by the way, when I say newest United States Senator, I got sworn in on the same day with the newest Ohio Senator, and I'm number 99 and he's 100. So we won. We won. I am very excited. I want to move into questions. Would you like to talk first, and then I can come back up and address them in just a moment? Does that work for you? I love it when it's my show, but you never know. You might have to start dancing. Come on up. Come on up.
You picked the wrong Baptist chaplain for dancing. That ain't happening. But anyway, it's good to see y'all. Thank you. One, it's great to be down here with the 99th Senator, but first in the hearts of many here, and I'm glad to have that. It's also, but I do have to correct something. There was something that was just missing here a moment ago.
Better not be anything to do with Bulldogs.
It's called Go Dogs. I'm sorry, Yeah. No, we got Knowles up in the front too. At least you're still yelling, so hey, that's a good thing. It's good. Yeah, I love it. See, this is why I love coming home. And for me, this is coming home. And I'm also, for those who don't know, also as a Navy veteran as well. I served about 3 years in Navy. Came through. For those Navy guys in the house, got my training there. Served with the Green. I served with the Marines out of Pendleton as a Navy chaplain. There are Marines in the house. I was a little light on that first round, so I had to make sure you were still there. So look, as we come together, the best part about it is exactly what you have right here. Exactly what we just talked about. Just that sort of inner, fight, that inner love between agencies, between the Air Force, the Army, Navy, all of us put together as we come together. And it's what makes us who we are. It's what makes us special. But also, as you look at this, and the Senator just touched on that, when we look at the VA, I take this as a very personal mission. It's one in which I have one focus and one focus only. And you'll hear me call this, and I want you to understand why I do this. And I've had many people at the hospitals and our CBOCs and also in our benefits and people that I just meet. They hear me say this, and I mean it is a sincerity of purpose that I want you to understand why. And I will say this often. I say it with the media. I say it with others. I said, number one, I'm serving my veterans and it's my employees, because I take it very personally, because when you get out and you're going to do something with my veterans, one, you're not going to scare my veterans. We're not going to allow you to give bad stuff that scares you and people who think that they can't get the services that you've earned. And also at the same point in time, we're not going to also take and have the VA coming as of February 5th, when I got sworn in. It was the time for the VA being the whipping post of the world and blaming everything on the VA has ended. We're now going to make it better. We're going to make it turn to the point that it needs to be, and that is not as an organization of anything except service. We're not a jobs program. We're not anything else. We're a service organization designed to do one thing, and that's to take care of veterans. And that's pretty much it. And believe me, there's a lot to do. This is an agency that has grown greatly in the last few years. How many of you realized before walking in here, and I get ready to tell you this, that the employee force right now at the VA is larger than the active duty Army? We are larger than the active duty Army. Pete could call the entire Army up and I still got him beat by 20,000. This is something you need to be aware of because you don't hear this. But also as we go along in these questions today, I'm going to break it down for you as simple as this old North Georgia boy can do to tell you what we're going to do and how we're going to do it and how it's going to make a difference. And I've been in your hospitals, I've been in the C box, I've been with your veterans. But let me also just say this. I'm going to say this unequivocally up front. No one, do not let the media, do not let a political party, do not let any organization, union, or anybody else tell you there has been zero discussion of cutting health care benefits and cutting disability benefits. It's not even been discussed, and it won't be while we're there. There's things that we can do to make sure that it works. So with that, I'm here to watch the senator answer some questions. So here we go.
Well, thank you, Secretary. And I heard somebody back there say beat Navy, but as you know, many of you, the oldest boy in my family is Army and didn't even make my first inauguration because we had to drop him off at boot camp. So we are so excited to have you at the helm as someone that understands the type of person it takes to serve our country, understanding that service to our nation is bigger than yourself. It is about the ideals and foundations that this country was built on. And you have a right to expect an agency that serves you and that lives up to the promises of two of my favorite presidents, Lincoln, who promised that we would take care of our veterans and their families, and Reagan, who decided they would lift that to a cabinet level position and agency. And so I love the attitude that you're coming in with, the idea that we're going to look at every staffing level, every group that's making decisions. Are we too top heavy? How can we make sure that we're speeding up efficiency of care? Because like we say in the legal profession, sometimes justice delayed is justice denied. Sometimes, and you all in this room know this very well, treatment delayed is treatment denied in many instances. And we know that our veterans population has a suicide rate 57% higher than the average population. And so we have to make sure we're doing everything we can to pay attention to the numbers and everything that we're doing to reduce delays and inefficiencies and costs, and thinking outside the box of how we do that. And that's what I've really liked watching in this new administration and across all agencies. They're thinking outside the box. How can we be a better government for the people and live up to all of what government is supposed to be? And maybe that means unraveling and getting back to that true mission of a government for the people and by the people. And so I am super excited to be the newest senator in Washington, working towards that end. And you have my commitment. All that I learned over not just as the Attorney General, but certainly that lends to my work ethic and drive to get things done. But all that I've learned over the course of my career, whether that's my understanding of the promise and the assurance of separation of powers and all that this government promises our people, I am so excited to now serve you in this new role. So whether it was working on our military veterans assistance project, where we were protecting families and veterans against scammers, making sure that charities that were raising money to help veterans were actually helping veterans, all of those things that meant so much to me as an AG are carrying over into my new role. So it's so excited that I get to come back here and see you and say thank you for giving me this opportunity to serve you in this capacity, and also to introduce a person that really has hit the ground running and is working overtime to deliver on that mission. So we would be happy to take any questions that anybody might have. Yes, sir.
So, first of all, Secretary Senator, thank you so much for coming here, and I appreciate what you do for us here and at large. Thank you so much.
Thank you, appreciate it.
So I had the opportunity to see you on Sean Ryan's show
Yes.
not too long ago. And if you haven't seen it, I'd encourage you all to take a look at that. It was about 3 hours.
Yeah.
And I know Sean had one way of looking at things, and it was really a great exchange.
Yeah.
What I would say, sir, as a comment, I would encourage you to continue to do those type of, those engagements, whether it's Joe Rogan or
Yep.
whomever, because people are watching this. And this is where the transparency comes from. Because I was at a town hall meeting yesterday with a congressman that represents this area, and just total fabrication. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. So she's talking about transparency and fear mongering, something you already alluded to, about, hey, our veterans are very sensitive to some of the benefits and what's gonna happen on the way ahead. You understand the business model, you gotta really kind of review what we have. What I would recommend, sir, not necessarily have a question, but what I would recommend is having more engagements like this. I'd really challenge you to do that with the folks here at the grassroots level, make sure we're hearing it, and then just to foster that sense of transparency. So that's really it, sir. I just wanted to let you, thank you for doing that, Sean Ryan, so I hadn't heard you talk for that long, it was great. And I appreciate what you do for our community. I look forward to seeing you again, sir.
Well, I appreciate that. I also appreciate the fact that you brought a T-shirt from my district. So when I was in Congress, Camp Toccoa, I used to represent the 9th District, which Stevens County Camp Toccoa up there at Currahee for the Band of Brothers. If it goes back to that, that is where they come from. So it's my district. Look, I've been in this job about 9 weeks now. Maybe we're getting almost 3 months. And the main thing that I've had to do is actually fight is to make sure that we're getting the truth out there. I used to think that Capitol Hill was a leaking place. My operation is, we're not a leak, we're just an open faucet. And people, unfortunately, are wedded to the system that is, and hear me clearly here. There's a struggle in a bureaucracy. The VA makes bureaucracy look tame. We've got to understand, and I love my employees, I really do, but we've got really too many layers. And I found out something today. I was at the Tampa, and then yesterday, and I was at the Bay Pines today. And we found out something about credentialing that was just mind-blowing to me. I stopped the meeting and actually made a phone call to my chief of staff, and I said, this is the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard of. You know, why are we doing it this way? And we've already started the process of changing it. This is my second town hall with veterans in Florida. I was at Corey Mills just the other day. We did one in the middle of the state. Talking, and for me, doing shows like the Sean Ryan podcast, I'm doing actually going to be out with Cameron Haynes, for those who watch Hunting and Running, doing Cam Haynes' podcast at the end of this month, Rogan, Jocko. And the reason we do this is not just to go out there and do it, it's just to reach people that we're not reaching. And I think this is the thing that I want the VA to start understanding better is we may have happy clappy with each other, but the world doesn't think that of us. And the veteran population is a population, especially our GWAT veterans, those of which I am, burn pit people, me and others, they're not coming into the system because they're very skeptical. I love the way Sean, if you don't know, if you've never watched that podcast, Sean started it off by basically saying, 10 years ago, I quit going to the VA. I think it's a load of, I won't use his words, but a load of crap. It convinced me I'm wrong. And so we spent almost 2.5 plus hours discussing these different issues. And this is what we've got to have. And it's no longer, I'm not a secretary who sits in Washington, D.C. across the street and says, this is what we're going in and listens to a lot of folks who say, here's where we've been, here's where we need to keep it. I'm one that says, let's figure out what the problems are, because when I hear it from you, the senator may not know this yet, but she'll get there. 60% of the calls that come into her office, 60% of the calls that go to the congressman's office have to do with VA in some way. Either veterans benefits or veterans health. Either I'm not getting my health care, not getting my appointments, or not getting my benefits. 60% of those calls. Now, you may not have ever heard a secretary actually tell you this, but when they get the call saying they can't get what they want, the VA has failed. We failed. Now, some in the VA may not think that, but I do. Because where is anywhere else in the world do I have to call a third party to get another party to do what they're supposed to be doing on things that you've already earned? So what we got to do is focus on this. One of my big problems right now is access. Once people actually access our healthcare, and by the way, y'all got a couple of great hospitals down here in this area. They're doing some great work, and I've been really impressed with them. And it's not once they get there that they're not happy, or at least most of them. It's the fact of how hard it is to get into them. And so what I've told my whole organization is, if it takes 10 pieces of paper to get somebody healthcare, I want to know how we can do it in 5 pieces of paper. If it takes 10 to get them a benefit, I want to know how we can do it in 3 pieces of paper. How do we make this quicker to get them in and get the benefits that they've already earned? And if we do that, then the anxiety level goes down. And disability backlogs, which, by the way, I'll talk about more in just a minute as we get into this. This is just a commitment that I have to this organization, to our employees, but also to the veterans that we serve, that we're not going to simply accept the status quo anymore. And also, though, I'm also going to be very real with you, as veteran to veteran, as military member to military member. A lot of times things in the VA get blown up, and all of a sudden somebody misses an appointment, somebody can't get a surgery scheduled, somebody gets a surgery canceled. And it's sort of interesting, since January 20th, the media has made a large deal because they went to find people. Well, did you miss an appointment? Well, my appointment got canceled, or this got canceled. You know what? That happens in every hospital in this country. And it has nothing to do with cuts, because, by the way, we've not cut anybody that's actually working on patients or taking care of our disability claims. They're the only ones that right now that are actually gone are the ones who chose to take an early retirement. That's the only ones that are gone. And I protected over 300,000 positions in our hospitals and our healthcare fraud that cannot take that. I call it my form of stop loss. They can't go anywhere because we need them where they are in taking care of our folks. So that's just a touch of what we're doing, and also hearing from you. And I'm taking these and taking them straight back up. And also, we're going around the folks right now that are most nervous in my world are the folks that all have been the funnel for the secretary in the past, because I don't believe in a funnel. I believe in a direct line of communication. And that's why I'm here with the senator.
And what I liked about your question, and I think was key to that, is communication. So anytime you're going to go back and try and make changes and streamline and deliver a better product or a service it's going to cause a little bit of anxiety of the people that you're serving, right? And so what I like about the people that have been put in charge of the agencies in this administration is that core competence, expertise, check that box, yes. But right along with it had to be people that could communicate why we were doing things and facts, what is really happening. It is so important that we are accountable to the people, and that we're transparent, and that we're constantly communicating. And I don't know if you agree with me, but bringing in not just a veteran, somebody that's actually served, but a preacher, that's a good communicator. And you got a communicator when they're bouncing up and down while they talk to you. So, right on. I think you get a 10 for that answer.
We can handle that one.
What else do we got?
This couple times.
Yes, sir. I'm sorry about your arm. What happened to your arm? On the left side.
Yeah, what the question is, so I appreciate you both being here. My name is Dan McCollum, retired Army attack helicopter pilot. Lost this arm over in Afghanistan. This one got screwed up back in July. After I got out, went to medical school, became a medical doctor, board certified in emergency medicine, and now medical director over at Pinellas County Jail. So needless to say, spent my whole life serving citizens in one way or another. I guess my question is there going to be any sort of committee or someone in charge of streamlining the stuff we talk about? Because I had this, I had my whole shoulder ripped out July of last year. I, as a medical doctor, it took me up until February of this year to finally get the surgery through the VA. You talk about all these cancellations and stuff. It was just one bureaucratic thing after another that just delayed and delayed and delayed. Accused of being a drug seeker. I mean, you name it. I finally had the surgery. They left me at home with no arms, no support at all, even though I had asked and begged the VA for the same thing and kept getting the same bureaucratic, well, it's just one shoulder surgery. Use your other arm. You'll be fine. And nobody listened. So my question is there going to be somebody accountable for going through and streamline that stuff? Because I, as a medical director at Pinellas County Jail, if I have an inmate who has that same injury at the jail, he will have that repair done. It'll take about 90 days to get it handled. That's what an inmate gets. Veteran, physician veteran, who knows how to navigate the system, 8 months.
I think this is exactly the number one mission of the secretary. In fact, I think streamlining those times to get service is why they are going through and making sure any money that they can save that goes straight into speeding up those times into service for veterans. But I'm going to let him talk about his plans for getting that done.
I appreciate that. And look, you're exactly why I'm doing what I'm doing. I mean, in the sense of is there's issues that I've been amazed at the atrophy of good management practices and others. And I don't attribute ill will. Hear what I'm saying here. I don't attribute ill will. I attribute we've always done it that way. I attribute it to I'm going through. And today, if you'd have been riding with me today, there's been at least 2 occasions in which I almost just completely lost my crap on stupid stuff. And this is what you're talking about. You know, how do you manage people? How do you tell people? And how do you work with people? We're in a people business, a healthcare business. We're special that we get to take care of the best people in the world, our veteran, but we're not unique. And I think that's become the problem that I see a lot of times with our VA is we think we're unique. We're not unique. There's people who deliver healthcare all over this country every day in a variety of settings. And we've got to make sure that the specialness of who we treat is taken care of. What does that mean? Yes, we're going to cut out some lines. I mean, one of the things that I'm hearing right now is I go to my directors, my medical directors at our hospitals, and I'll ask them questions. And I've frankly, in confidence, had one come to me today, and he said, "Sir, I think the problem is you're not able to hear what we're sending up," and it's exactly true. We're not hearing that, and so that's why I'm coming out. That's why we're asking the other questions. That's why we're removing the barriers to get to where we need to go. It's going to take a little bit of time because here's an answer that you might hear a lot in the VA side. Well, the law won't let us do that. Well, guess what? You know what I found as an attorney? I know the difference between regulation and policy and what is actually statute. Statute, I have to go to her. Statute will, and I'll be happy. I'm getting ready to send them a lot of stuff that need to be changed, especially on the disability side. But everything else is why I have a pen. Is that we can get it changed. Just give me the alternative and get the functions that we need. So this is a problem that is built in for a while. It's a calcified issue, like you have seen, that we're not been nimble. You ought to see the faces of some of my directors and medical center folks when I give them the permission to try something. When I say, look, go try. I've said this before. In the VA right now, if you are trying and you fail, I will be the first one to come pick you up, dust you off, and send you back on the way to try again. What I do not tolerate is stuff exactly what you've talked about is going through the same traps and system to say we're just doing it and we're marking it off. Well, that's the way they did it before me. That's the way it don't. That's just not what we need to have. So thank you for standing up with that. Thank you for what you have. And thank you for getting your doctorate. Can I get you back at the VA?
I have been told by one of the directors there that I've applied several times that my name is known and I am too outspoken.
He's hard. Not treating that